The first time the Galactic Union spoke about Earth, the room was calm and careless. The planet was shown on a wide screen, spinning slowly in blue and green. Data streams listed storms that could swallow cities, gravity heavier than most known worlds, and oceans full of creatures that hunted without fear. The analysts agreed on one word: Deathworld. To the Union, Deathworlds were places of failure. Worlds where life grew hard and rough were believed to shape weak minds that only survived by luck. The leaders thought such species could not build true strength. They believed fear ruled them. So the vote was quick. Earth had water, metals, and energy sources that the Union wanted. The plan was simple. Arrive fast. Show force. Take what was needed. Leave broken resistance behind. No one thought Earth would last long. Far away, on the surface of that same planet, James stood on a quiet observation deck. The sky above him was blue, but dark clouds rolled on the horizon. Wind pressed against the glass, strong and steady. Storm warnings flashed on screens, yet the city below moved on as normal. Emily stood beside him, arms crossed, eyes fixed on the stars. "They're early," she said softly. James nodded. He did not look surprised. For weeks, signals had come in strange patterns. Deep space sensors caught shapes where nothing should be. Now the shapes were clear. Alien fleets. Dozens of them. They slid out of space like silent knives, dark and sharp against the stars. No weapons fired. No messages sent. Just presence. Around the world, people noticed. Satellites adjusted. Air traffic shifted. Military channels opened. But there were no screams in the streets. No wild panic. No crowds running in fear. Humans had learned something long ago. Panic wasted time. In command centers, screens lit up. Officers spoke in calm voices. Plans were pulled from old files and adjusted. Ships were moved not to attack but to watch. Power grids were protected. Hospitals prepared. Emergency systems went live without drama. James walked through the command floor as if it were another workday. His steps were steady. His face showed focus, not fear. "They think we'll break," he said to Emily as they passed a wall of data. "They always do." Emily gave a small smile. "They don't know what it takes to live here." On the alien flagship, the view was very different. Union commanders watched Earth with confidence. They saw no great space defenses. No massive fleets charging out to meet them. The planet looked open. Quiet. Weak. "Where is their fear response?" one commander asked. "Delayed," another replied. "They are primitive. It will come." Orders were set. Landing zones were marked. Troops prepared for quick control. The Union expected screams, surrender signals, and chaos within hours. But on Earth, the wind howled louder as storms rolled in. Rain fell in heavy sheets. Waves crashed against coasts with endless force. The planet did what it always did. It tested those who stood on it. James stood near a screen showing weather maps overlapping alien landing paths. Red warning symbols blinked across the display. "They don't know," Emily said quietly. "They chose the worst time." James did not answer right away. He watched a storm system grow larger, faster than models predicted. "This world doesn't care who you are," he said at last. "It never has." Across the globe, humans moved with purpose. Farmers secured crops. Engineers reinforced structures. Soldiers trained in silence. Families checked supplies and then went to work, school, or shelters without shouting. Fear existed, but it was controlled. That control came from history. Earth had always been dangerous. Earthquakes, storms, fires, diseases, predators. Humans had not conquered their world by being fearless. They survived by respecting danger and preparing for it. The Galactic Union did not understand this. Their ships descended into thick clouds, sensors confused by electric storms and violent winds. Gravity pulled harder than expected, stressing hulls and systems. Troops felt heavy, slow, tired before they even touched the ground. On the surface, James watched the first landing craft struggle through rain and lightning. "They're already losing time," Emily said. "Yes," James replied. "And time matters." The Union expected cities to fall silent in terror. Instead, they saw lights stay on. Roads stayed clear. Signals stayed organized. Humans did not run toward them or away from them. They simply made space. Alien commanders grew uneasy. Their reports spoke of resistance that was not loud, not violent, but stubborn. Every move faced delay. Every plan met the planet itself as an enemy. Still, the Union believed victory was certain. Earth was just a world. Humans were just another species. They did not yet understand their mistake. James placed his hands on the console and looked up at the clouds hiding the stars. "Let them think we are afraid," he said. "Let them land." Emily nodded. "The world will teach them the rest." And as thunder rolled across continents and alien fleets struggled against gravity and storm, Earth waited, silent, patient, and very much awake. The war did not begin with fire filling the sky. It began with silence breaking. Alien landing craft touched Earth in planned zones, but nothing went as expected. The moment their feet met the ground, the planet pushed back. Gravity pressed down hard, far heavier than their bodies were built for. Every step felt like lifting stone. Weapons felt heavier. Armor pulled at joints. Some soldiers fell to one knee just trying to stand. Commanders shouted orders, but even speaking took effort. Rain poured without pause. Wind howled through landing zones, bending metal and tearing away light cover. Sensors failed again and again, confused by thick clouds and electric storms. Maps no longer matched the ground. The aliens had trained for war. They had not trained for Earth. In one valley, a unit tried to move forward through tall green growth. Plants cut exposed skin. Roots caught their boots. Mud pulled at their legs with every step. Progress slowed to nothing. Then something large moved in the trees. Eyes watched from the dark. The soldiers raised weapons, but the shape vanished before they could react. Fear spread, quiet but sharp. Across the planet, similar reports came in. Troops trapped by rising floods. Vehicles stuck in deep soil. Flying craft forced down by sudden storms. One ship lost control when ice formed across its wings in seconds. It crashed into the ocean, swallowed by waves before rescue arrived. No humans fired on it. They did not need to. In cities near the landing zones, alarms sounded once. Then systems worked smoothly. Michael stood in a command center, watching screens filled with moving dots. Each dot was a group of people being guided to safety. "Sector clear," a calm voice reported. "Good," Michael replied. "Move to the next." Jessica worked beside him, directing defenses that did not attack but blocked movement. Roads were closed. Bridges lifted. Power grids adjusted to protect civilians first. The goal was simple: slow the invaders without feeding the fight. "Any panic?" Jessica asked. "Low," Michael answered. "People are listening." That mattered most. Humans moved like a tide pulling back, not fleeing but making space. Shelters filled in order. Medical teams waited, ready but not overwhelmed. Supplies moved quietly. No one rushed into danger. The aliens expected resistance to be loud and desperate. Instead, they found empty streets, locked doors, and cities that seemed to breathe and shift around them. In a forest zone, an alien patrol advanced with caution. Suddenly the ground shook. A massive animal burst from the trees, large and fast, driven by fear and noise. It did not attack with thought or hate. It ran. The patrol scattered. One soldier was thrown aside. Another dropped their weapon. By the time they regrouped, the animal was gone, leaving crushed trees and broken ground behind. Command channels filled with questions. "What kind of weapon was that?" "It was not a weapon," a commander replied slowly. "It was life." The realization unsettled them. On the coast, waves rose higher as storms grew stronger. Alien ships anchored offshore were torn from position. One collided with another in rough water. Hulls cracked. Power failed. Both ships sank without a single human missile fired. Humans watched from distance. They recorded. They waited. Michael studied reports as they came in. Losses on the alien side increased every hour. Not from battle but from mistakes, exhaustion, and the planet itself. "They're bleeding without us touching them," he said. Jessica nodded. "That's Earth." Alien leaders argued in orbit. Some demanded heavier strikes. Others warned that the environment was more dangerous than expected. They could not agree on a clear enemy. There was no main human force to crush. No grand battle to win. Only struggle. Troops grew tired fast. Their bodies were not meant for long movement under heavy gravity. Injuries increased. Supply lines broke when storms blocked paths. Food spoiled. Medical units struggled with unfamiliar diseases carried by air, water, and soil. Confusion spread through their ranks. "Where are the humans?" one officer asked over a broken channel. "They are everywhere," another answered, voice strained. "And nowhere." In one ruined landing zone, an alien soldier looked out over a field battered by rain. Mud covered their armor. Their breath came heavy. They had expected cheers or screams. They heard only thunder. Meanwhile, humans adjusted again and again. When one plan slowed, another replaced it. When storms shifted, routes changed. When danger rose, people moved calmly. Michael watched evacuation numbers drop as areas cleared. "We're ahead," he said quietly. "Yes," Jessica replied. "But we stay ready." They knew the war was not over. But the first shock had already landed, and it had not hit humanity. It had hit the invaders. Alien commanders sent urgent messages upward. Ships in orbit received reports of lost units, damaged craft, and rising fear. None of it matched the clean victory promised. One message ended with a simple line: "This world is fighting us." As night fell across Earth, lightning lit the clouds like veins of fire. Alien lights flickered below, scattered and uncertain. Human cities dimmed, conserving power, hiding shape and size. From space, Earth did not look weak. It looked alive. And for the first time since the war began, doubt entered the minds of those who had declared it. The next phase of the war came with anger. Alien commanders, shaken by losses and confusion, chose force. Ships in orbit adjusted position. Weapons charged. The order was clear: strike harder, break human systems, force surrender. Energy beams cut through clouds and struck the edges of cities. The ground shook. Buildings burned. Power lines fell. But the cities did not collapse. They bent. Walls designed for storms and earthquakes held longer than expected. Fire systems activated at once. Emergency power came online in seconds. Trains stopped safely. Shelters sealed. Sirens sounded only once, then went quiet. People moved as they were trained to move. In one city, David stood inside a damaged operations center. Dust covered the floor. A screen flickered but stayed alive. He wiped his face and leaned forward, speaking in a steady voice. "Medical teams to Zone 3. Structural crews to the east side. Keep civilian routes clear." No one shouted. No one froze. Outside, smoke rose into the sky, but streets stayed open for rescue vehicles. Neighbors helped neighbors. Injured people were carried, not left behind. Children were moved first, then the elderly, then everyone else. Lauren worked from a mobile relief unit near the city edge. Rain mixed with ash as she directed supplies. "Food here," she called. "Water next. Keep the line moving." Alien fire struck nearby ground. The shock knocked people down. Lauren steadied herself and stood again. "Stay calm," she said. "We're still standing." And they were. Beyond the cities, farms kept working. Fields burned in places, but farmers returned as soon as the air cleared. Machines restarted. Animals were moved to safety and brought back when possible. Food production did not stop. It slowed, adjusted, and continued. The aliens did not understand this. Their records predicted riots, hunger, and fear. They expected humans to turn on each other under pressure. Instead, they saw trucks moving at night, lights off. They saw repairs begin hours after strikes. They saw communication lines rerouted faster than they could disrupt them. On one battlefield edge, alien troops advanced toward a city that should have been silent. Instead, barriers rose. Roads shifted. Ditches appeared where maps said none existed. Simple defenses slowed heavy machines. Smoke and fog hid movement. Humans did not charge. They delayed. They shielded. They endured. David reviewed incoming data as reports stacked up. Each hour showed improvement. Response time shortened. Damage dropped. Civilian loss stayed low. "They're adapting too fast," an alien analyst said in a captured transmission. Lauren heard similar reports from the field. "They're watching us learn," she told David over a secure channel. "And they don't like it." Another strike hit a power station. Lights went out across a wide area. For a moment, darkness spread. Then backup systems engaged. Homes glowed softly. Hospitals stayed bright. Communications rerouted through ground lines and short-range signals. People adjusted without panic. Earth had lost power before. It had learned. Alien commanders argued again. Stronger weapons were used. Strikes grew wider. But with each attack, humans refined their responses. Weak points were reinforced. New shelters opened. Old structures were repurposed. Records updated constantly. Human units did not fight for glory. They fought for time. Every hour gained saved lives. Every life saved strengthened resolve. In one small town, an alien unit broke through outer defenses. They expected screaming crowds. They found empty streets. Homes were locked. Supplies were gone. The town had moved as one. Confusion spread. In orbit, Union leaders watched feeds that made no sense. Damage reports were high, yet human activity increased. Food shipments continued. Repairs multiplied. "This should not be possible," one leader said. But it was happening. Earth did not fall. It adjusted its stance like a fighter shifting balance after a heavy blow. The planet absorbed pain and stayed upright. David looked at the sky through a cracked window. Smoke drifted, but stars still shone faintly. They thought hitting harder would end it, he said quietly. Lauren answered from miles away, her voice calm but firm. They don't know us. As night passed, human networks hummed with activity. Plans changed. New methods spread fast. Old fears were set aside. The aliens had brought war to a death world. And the death world was teaching them what survival truly meant. The turning point did not begin with an attack. It began with a message. A damaged alien command craft sat grounded in a wide plain, surrounded but not destroyed. Its engines were silent. Smoke rose from its hull, drifting slowly in the wind. Human units held their distance, weapons lowered but ready. Inside the craft, an alien commander waited. Injured, exhausted and shaken, he asked for time. The request moved through human channels quickly. John stood in a quiet room filled with screens and maps. Ashley was beside him, arms at her sides, eyes focused. They listened as the message was played again. He's asking to talk, Ashley said. Not to surrender. To breathe. John nodded slowly. We give him that. But we don't give ground. The decision spread across command lines. Human forces held position. No strikes followed. Medical teams were sent, unarmed. The alien commander watched in disbelief as humans approached without weapons raised. They treated his injured crew. They brought water. They did not insult or threaten. This confused him more than any weapon. Talks began in a temporary shelter near the grounded ship. John and Ashley entered calmly, their movements measured. No flags were raised. No victory symbols shown. Just chairs and a table. The alien commander spoke with effort. Gravity had taken its toll on his body. His voice shook, not with fear but with strain. This world is killing us, he said. And you let it. John did not argue. We didn't make it this way. Ashley leaned forward slightly. You came knowing what it was. The commander looked away. Reports were shared. Maps. Numbers. Lost lists. Failed landings. Ships lost to storms, terrain and gravity. Illness spreading through ranks. Supply lines broken again and again. Then Daniel joined the room. He carried no weapon. Only data. He placed a display on the table. Images appeared, clear and simple. Crashed ships. Flooded camps. Frozen units. Troops trapped by mud, heat, cold and wildlife. These losses, Daniel said, voice calm, were not caused by us. He changed the screen. These are the times humans fired weapons, he continued. Compare them. The difference was clear. Most damage had come from Earth itself. The alien commander stared at the data. His breathing slowed. You let us fight the planet, he said quietly. Yes, John replied. Because you forced us to. Ashley spoke next. We protected our people first. That was our choice. Silence filled the room. Outside, the wind blew across the plain. The grounded alien ship creaked under its own weight. The commander lowered his head. We believed fear would break you. Daniel shook his head once. Fear taught us how to survive. Messages were sent upward to Union fleets in orbit. Full reports. No edits. No excuses. The truth reached them all at once. Earth was not resisting with rage. It was resisting by enduring. Union ships showed signs of damage. Hull stress. System failures. Crews exhausted. Commanders now understood they were not facing a weak world. They were facing a death world that was doing what it always did. Defending its life. Orders changed. Fleets began to pull back slowly and carefully. Ships adjusted orbit to safer distance. Landing operations stopped. Extraction began under cover of storms they now feared. Human forces did not pursue. They watched. John and Ashley stood on a ridge as alien ships lifted from the ground. Engines struggled. Some did not make it. Ashley folded her arms. They're afraid. John nodded. They should be. Daniel joined them, looking at the sky. This isn't victory. No, John said. It's understanding. Across space, Union records were rewritten in quiet fear. Earth's profile changed. Not weak. Not chaotic. Resilient. As the last damaged ships limped away, clouds closed over the sky. The wind carried rain across the land. The death world remained. And it had spoken without shouting. The request for peace arrived without pride. It came as a simple signal, clean and clear, sent on open channels for all to hear. The Galactic Union no longer spoke in strong commands or careful threats. The message was careful, almost unsure. They asked to talk. On Earth, no cheers followed. No celebrations filled the streets. People listened, then went back to their work. Fires were still being put out. Homes were still being repaired. The world did not stop just because the war slowed. James stood in a quiet room as the message repeated across screens. Emily stood near the window, watching clouds drift apart as the storms finally eased. "They're ready to say it," she said. James nodded. It took them long enough. The talks did not happen in grand halls or bright chambers. They happened through steady channels with witnesses from many systems. The Union sent formal words of apology. They admitted error. They admitted loss. They admitted fear. They asked for peace. Earth did not answer at once. Time passed. Human leaders reviewed records. They counted the cost. Lives lost. Cities damaged. Fields burned and replanted. They spoke not in anger but in memory. When the reply came, it was firm but open. Humans would accept peace, but not lies. James was chosen to sign the final agreement. Not because he was loud or famous, but because he had stayed calm when fear would have been easy. He had watched the war begin without panic and end without pride. The signing took place on a neutral platform in space. The station was plain and strong, built for function, not beauty. Human and Union representatives faced each other across a simple table. No weapons were present. The Union delegate spoke first. His voice was steady, but his posture showed respect. "We misjudged your world," he said. "We misjudged your people." James listened without expression. "We believed strength came from control," the delegate continued. "We now know it comes from endurance." James placed his hand on the document. The text was clear. Borders recognized. Reparations agreed. Earth listed as protected. Future contact limited and watched. He signed. The moment passed without sound. Across the galaxy, systems updated. Databases changed. Old labels were removed. Earth was no longer marked as weak or chaotic. A new word replaced them. Resilient. Emily watched from Earth as the last Union ships withdrew beyond safe distance. The stars looked different without foreign fleets cutting across them. Space felt wide again. Quiet. For the first time in weeks, the night sky belonged only to the stars. People noticed. Children pointed upward. Farmers paused in their fields. City lights softened as emergency levels ended. Life did not return to normal. It moved forward. On screens across Earth, the Union's apology played. Not forced. Not hidden. Clear in public. They admitted the war was wrong. They admitted the cost. Humans listened. Some felt relief. Some felt anger. Many felt both. Forgiveness did not come quickly. But it came honestly. James returned to Earth without ceremony. No parade waited. No medals shone. He stepped onto solid ground and felt the familiar pull of gravity. Strong. Heavy. Home. Emily met him near the landing site. The wind moved through trees nearby. Birds circled above, fearless. "They learned," she said. "Yes," James replied. "And so did the galaxy." Records across distant worlds updated one last time. Notes were added. Warnings written in quiet language. "Do not mistake endurance for weakness. Do not confuse silence with fear. Deathworlds defend their own." Trade resumed slowly. Messages arrived with careful respect. No one rushed Earth anymore. The war ended not with conquest but with understanding. Humans forgave. They did not forget. And among the stars a lesson spread, soft but lasting. Respect the worlds that survive.